He's been doing it his entire life, never stopped, never wanted to stop, and he played on Motown tracks. He's performed his own stuff. He's been on American Bandstand. He had a platinum-selling album with the 8 Days, Crawl Before You Walk, which many of you guys probably know as one of my favorite songs. Once again, the Detroit Soul Ambassador, Melvin Davis.
Yeah, well, I started like, I remember the very first song, I was crazy. I was like you. I don't do music, music did me. And in order to participate in the business, I did whatever I could do. You know, I ended up with my own record label. I played drums, keyboard. I recorded my own songs. I produced, write, and put on shows. If you love something, then you find a way to participate in it. And anybody out there that's starting into it or doing it, I would just say, don't hesitate, don't wait. Do it, because you'll look up and it'll be like 2 years later. Oh, I was going to do what, you know, no. If you really love it, go ahead and just do it.
What were some of those first examples of you just going out and really going for it and doing it? You know?
Well, the first group that I formed, I don't know if you're familiar with a song called Too Many Cooks Spoil the Soup? Yeah, Steve Mancha. His real name was Clyde Wilson. He was a member of my very first group. And also an excellent bass player, Tony Newton. And a very good guitar player, Cornelius Grant, who was the musical director for the Temptations. And also David Ruffin was, he lived with me for 2.5 years, and he was a member of my group before the Temptations. And we were just 5 totally energetic guys, and, you know, just going for it. You know, so I would just, in the daytime, put on my suit, take my briefcase, go into a club within 400 or 500 miles and say, you got a great place here. You know what you need? You need some excitement. I can provide that for you. You know, I mean, I don't know, nobody taught me these things. Nobody showed me how to play drums. I would watch and, you know, and I think I can do that. Yeah, I was a good dancer, you know. So, you know, if you have a passion for something, you don't have to necessarily, if you really want to do it, you can do it. Just apply yourself and just do it. But we played clubs around Detroit, and my very first recording was a song that I wrote, a stupid little song called Happiness. It said that about 500 times in the song. But I took a guitar player that I had went to school with, and I was playing mallets on a briefcase, and that's how I recorded my very first song. And after I wrote a couple of more songs, I just looked in the yellow pages and called these studios and went down an audition, and there was a lot of opportunity back in Detroit at that time. If you really wanted to do something, you could do it. If you had any talent at all, you could do it. And if you really love something, you continue to do it. The more you do it, the better you're going to get. And if that doesn't happen, don't keep doing it.
Can I'd like to play a quick example, because Melvin will never admit it, but he's a heck of a drummer. This is a song that you do with Dennis Coffey on his first record. He's getting scared now.
What is it?
Check out these drum breaks. This is a cover of a Charles, Watts 103rd Street Rhythm Band tune called Do Your Thing. These drum breaks have been sampled endlessly. This is Melvin playing drums.
Since we recorded it. I swear, I don't know where he got this.
I'm still trying to play like that. Everybody knows Dennis Coffey was the guitar player on Cloud 9 for Scorpio and had a million hits of his own, but Melvin was playing around town with Dennis and Lyman Woodard and James Jamerson all the time back in the 60s, while also writing your own songs and singing as a artist on labels yourself.
Every waking moment, I was doing, if I was awake, I was doing something with music, really. And to be around great voices like the Temptations and Marvin Gaye and to be inspired by great writers and musicians like that is like one of the greatest gifts you can have when that's what you want to do, you know? And Motown was totally unique. Detroit is totally unique. The whole Northern Soul movement, which I wasn't really aware of for 20 years, but now it's 50 years old. And Detroit probably has the deepest catalog of any city on the planet in the Northern Soul venue, or
And the Northern Soul scene has something that's developed in the UK specifically, where these, to be blunt, young white fans of soul music have hunted down these very non-mainstream recordings. They're kind of the soul music hipsters of the world, and Melvin is a celebrity among this scene because you were recording all these soul sides with the Funk Brothers, but not for the record label Motown. And I'd love to touch briefly, since we're talking about songwriting.
That's part of what the Soul Brothers, the Funk Brothers did. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, after their sound became so identifiable,
right,
you know, as the Motown sound, then of course Barry wanted to lock them up and, you know, put them under contract. You can't play for anybody else and all that. And of course, you know, these guys, you know, they had families, you know, they loved to play. And if somebody's offering them a job, they're going to take it, you know. So they had spies out and all that kind of stuff, but they really played on a lot of songs in Detroit other than Motown songs like this, you know. But the simple fact is that those guys were all geniuses, you know. It wasn't just some guys that kind of got together and, you know, kind of sounded pretty good together and played a few tunes. They were all like concert musicians. That's why Jamerson could play the stuff that he played, because he knew that acts like, it's like he invented it. You know, when you learn how to play bass, you learn out of a book and stuff, but, you know, when you learn concert music and you learn theory and all of that, and then you start to, you know, express your creative side like that. I mean, Earl Van Dyke was incredible on piano, just incredible. I mean, I play a little piano. I know maybe 7 chords and I've written 600 songs. You don't have to be a great musician, you know, to participate in the music industry and to express yourself musically. Whether you want to do it professionally or whether you want to do it just for your own satisfaction, music really is a wonderful vehicle. And writing and any of the arts are, because they really allow you to delve into your inner self and introduce yourself to yourself. Like music for me is probably the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, because it's defined me. You know, I don't know what I'd be without it.
right. And it was super common at Motown that the songwriter and the artist were separate. That you had Holland, Dozier, Holland writing for the Temptations, for the Supremes, for the Four Tops. That you had Norman Whitfield doing the Temptations. But unless you were Smokey Robinson or Stevie Wonder or Marvin Gaye, and the latter two had to fight for the right to compose their own material, you were not writing your own songs at Motown as a label. But Melvin was putting out songs on himself as an artist that you had written. How was that different than a lot of the scene where songs are being written for artists?
Well, it was because we didn't have the great Motown machine. You know, and I mean, there weren't songwriters lining up to write songs for Melvin Davis. You know, I mean, you know, they had great singers back then, you know, so I mean, the competition back then was fierce. And that's one thing that, you know, when you look back, you realize in life that competition really breeds excellence. And that's why I think Detroit is, you know, known as such a great mecca, because the competition was so thick here. You know, there was so much. The only thing that I regret is like the variety has suffered. You know, I mean, when you start to get a conglomerate, the way the music industry started to just kind of take over a style, and then they didn't want anybody else's style to be heard because it interfered, and they put all this money into these productions and all that kind of stuff. You know, but really, variety suffers, and I think that's not a good idea.
Right. It becomes about the target audience as opposed to the music.
Yeah, yeah.
And in a way, Motown was guilty of that sometimes as well, because they were trying so hard to cross over, but they created something brand new because of it.
Yeah.
You know.
But because of the rich pool of talent in the city of Detroit, it allowed for all of these other fledgling record labels, like Johnny May Matthews' record label, Northern Records, to have hit records, D-Town with Mike Hanks to have hit records, Fortune to have hit records, and to participate in the music industry. And that's why it was so important. There were some friends of mine that were working on saving United Sound, because they were talking about tearing it down, and to me that would have been like, you know, a real loss, because it's, if not as important, it might be even more important than Hitsville, USA.
Yeah, United Sound is a recording studio right off 94 that has been open since, what, 53 or something?
Yeah,
way before
yeah.
Motown was even around.
That's where
United Sound
Motown
was.
used to record, was at United Sound. And see, Motown was exclusive for Motown. Other artists and other labels couldn't go into Motown and record. But the United Sound, that's where they went. So they didn't have the money to have their own recording studios and stuff, so it really allowed for many, many other labels, fledgling labels and artists and dedicated people to participate in the music industry. So we really don't want to lose that treasure, you know?
Right.
Not to mention all the commercials, you know, General Motors. It was United Sound was one of the best recording studios this side of New York.
It's the only studio for miles that is big enough to fit a full orchestra. And so all the string parts for Motown were recorded at United Sound. Half of What's Going On, the album by Marvin Gaye, was recorded at United Sound. But you also had the Red Hot Chili Peppers recording there as early as recent as the 80s.
Yep.
You had Parliament Funkadelic, George Clinton, a lot of rap songs recorded there. It's incredibly diverse, and Melvin's right. Probably more important to the overall history of the city than Hitsville was.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because they had more participants, you know? Yeah.
One other thing before I open it for some questions that I'd love to talk about is the independent label scene of Detroit, because today you have this thriving scene of indie labels that are really helping musicians put their own things out there, and even something like CD Baby where you can distribute it yourself. But back in the day, Detroit actually had a very strong independent record scene, including Motown. Motown was technically an independent label. It was not Columbia, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And you were a label owner yourself. Curtis
Yeah.
Mayfield had a label.
Yeah.
Sam Cooke had a label.
Mm-hmm.
Can you describe the process of starting that in the face of this conglomeration like you're talking about?
Well, actually, probably it would be easier today than it ever was, because the future of music and record sales and the retail is probably in the internet. You know, that's where most people are going to be getting their music, not so much from the radio anymore, but from the internet, the iPods and all that stuff. And with the advent of, you know, like the internet and all that, you know, promotion, I mean, how many times you see some little baby takes a fart or something and it goes, whatever they call it, viral or something, and 20 million people have seen it, you know what I mean? You can get your product to the marketplace now, and that's crazy to me, you know? I mean, I'm 71, and I don't want to do it, you know? But I know that I need to do it, and I'm going to have to do it because it's not going anywhere. So pretty soon, you know, you're not going to be able to do anything without this technology, so... But, you know, to be an independent label really is kind of the way to go, you know, if you really want to, you know, participate and not, I mean, of course, if you got a mainstream label with bunches of money to promote you and to distribute your stuff all over the world, that's where you want to go. But if you're, you can probably make more money being an independent distributor. You're going to make 10 times as much money, and you're not going to have to wait, you know, every 6 months to get some kind of little phony count. I've never gotten the right count, never. Million sellers and all, never.
And you were talking about the creative kind of choking caused by the big labels. They'll put more pressure on you to create something that they think will sell.
Yeah, if you really want to, you know, be independent and you want to be, you know, like maintain your creative autonomy or whatever you call it, then you want to hold the ball as long as you can, you know? I mean, you got something that, you know, you're really in love with and you really like the song, and if it's really good and you're getting good reaction, and then some guy at the company says, well, no, I don't like that, you know. I mean, you don't have to put up with that if you can take the ball, you know, yourself. And sometimes, you know, many people have put together a really good product, and then they get a deal and they turn it over to a major, and they just kind of let it lay there. So, you know, I mean, when you worked hard on a creative product, it's kind of like in a football game. You don't want to, you know, work hard to get the ball down to the 10-yard line and hand it off to this guy and he fumbles it, you know? I mean, you know, so if you can take your product to fruit, you can't go wrong. Because then you can still sell it, especially if it becomes viable. And then you can sell it for even more because it's a proven entity, you know? So, you know? And that goes for anything that you want to do. It don't have to just be music, you know? That's just the way it is in the marketplace today. Whatever, you know, I look at that program, what is it, where they're trying to get these people to give them some money?
Every program?
Every show.
Yeah.
Shark Tank. I love that program because, you know, these little people, they come out there and they got their idea. I mean, you know, I'm a flower child, you know, so I'm just a total believer, and I love people that will take a little grain of sand and say, look what I got, and then the first thing you know, they have a castle, you know. I mean, you know, people that just never quit, never say die, and they don't get discouraged. I just, you know, I got a, you know, soft spot for that. And that show, I mean, I look at their little inventions that they put their time and their effort into, and they're going to try to beg for some money and stuff, but they're already making money. And like I say, you know, the music business or whatever business you want to go into, you know, you can be successful if you really want to do it. If you really want to do it, you can do it. Yeah.
Does anybody in the house have any questions for Melvin? About songwriting, about being an independent artist, about Motown in the past, Detroit in the past? Any questions? Yeah, absolutely.
Well, just because you've been around so long, I'm kind of in the blues field. What do you see about blues nowadays? Is it making a comeback? Is it something I should stay in? I'm really good at it.
Well, it's kind of like retro rhythm and blues. It hasn't gone anywhere. You know, it's just a matter of finding your audience. And if it's 3 people or if it's 3,000, just do the same show and just love it. And if you love it, you can't go wrong. It's going to feed you. Yeah, but I love the blues. Yeah, yeah. I love rock, rhythm and blues, all of it.
Yeah, Mel, I got you, Zach, but just so you guys know, Melvin has worked with a ton of different people, including, talking about rock, Wayne Kramer from MC5 is
Yeah,
playing
Wayne
guitar.
Kramer and I worked together. I talked to Wayne for about an hour yesterday. Yeah, because I had lost his phone number out of my phone, but, you know, at the Concert of Colors this year, we hadn't seen each other in about 25 years, and, I mean, when we had that rock group, we were just inseparable, you know, and we recorded and some great stuff, and
Radiation.
yeah, Radiation, yeah, and that was when the little unfortunate thing happened and my boys went to jail, but if it hadn't been for that, you would have heard a lot more about that group. Yeah, yeah.
Zach, you had a question?
This is one you've probably been asked a million times, but off the top of your head, what are the tracks you have the most fun playing? Your favorite songs to play? The ones you have the most fun.
Oh, you mean to sing or to play?
Your favorite
Well,
tracks to perform.
yeah.
Let's just put it that way as a general. Your top few.
I love Chains of Love. I love Find a Quiet Place. You know what? I wrote so many songs, and this is going to sound crazy, but I never reflected on my career in my life. You know, I mean, I'd write a song, it wasn't a hit, I write another song, and then I'm playing gigs and stuff. You know what? I had a $1 million seller. And they paid another Melvin Davis in California, and I didn't realize it for 20 years. I swear to God, this is the truth. So I never reflected on my career. And I went to England in 2004, and they had a show there, and I did 6 shows, and one of them was called An Evening with Melvin Davis. And I only had to sing 2 songs, and then I had to do 2 45-minute sessions where all these people were asking me questions and stuff. And in the lobby, they played all Melvin Davis songs. And they went on and on and on and on. And I told my son, I said, damn, I wrote a lot of shit. I mean, this is the truth. It was freaking me out because I never thought about it. And listen to this. The songs that I did on stage over there, I did 9 songs. I have never sung them on stage in my life because they weren't hits. I was doing cover stuff. And I said, do you want me to sing Crawl Before You Walk? That was my big million seller with Holland and Dozier. They said, no, we don't want to hear that. I had to relearn the songs they wanted me to sing. It was crazy. It was crazy. But it really, and the songs worked so well on stage until I said, wow. You know, it was like a revelation. And I've been doing them live ever since. I do all original stuff now. And I love them all, I really do. They all have so much meaning to me. When I listen back to my songs, because I'm still writing. I'm getting ready to do a new album now. I'm still writing. But when I listened back to them, I was kind of amazed because they were so good. And I mean, you know, just listening like it wasn't me. And I'm saying, wow, that guy was really, really, really trying. You know? But you know, just because a song is good, that doesn't mean it's going to be a hit. There are so many elements that go into that until you would not believe it. You know, I mean, even if you've got millions of dollars, you still, you know how life is, you know? It's the whole magical, spiritual thing, you know, timing, you know, and all that, and rhythm and all that. So that's all part of it. You know, one guy can just stumble into, you know, like fortune, and the other guy can just beat all day long and it just never happens. You know, so it's all, you know, whatever's meant to be, you know? But I wouldn't change not one thing in my life, you know? You know, I live in the moment. I talk a lot, don't I?
No, it's great, man. That's why we got you here. We got a question from Mike Anton here. What's up, Mike?
Melvin, I had one short question on what you're just talking about now. Recently in the press, there's been a resurgence due to the newfound fame of a guy named Sixto Rodriguez.
Yeah.
You may have heard of him. I'm thinking you might know who he is. And what you're saying, what you just said, essentially is somewhat of a similar story. Because, you know, I remember seeing you play, and I remember seeing you, saying, I don't care, I'll do covers, I'll do whatever. Yeah. You know, and it's a similar thing with Sixto. I mean, he would do something similar like that. He'd play his own songs, he'd play covers. He was very humble about it. Yeah. And I find, I just wondering what you thought about that. If you had any thoughts about Rodriguez, if you might have met him or know him.
No, I've never.
Can we tell them who he is real quick?
Oh yeah, sure. Tell them who he is. It's a crazy story. Yeah. It's a wonderful story.
Just to expound, Mike was just asking about a guy named Rodriguez, Sixto Rodriguez, who they just released a movie about called Searching for Sugarman. And he had this record out that, once again, Dennis Coffey produced the album back in the early 70s, and it did nothing in the United States. However, in South Africa, it became this huge hit and a rallying cry against apartheid. And it was an incredible, it sold tons and tons and tons and tons of copies in South Africa, and Rodriguez never knew. They thought he was dead.
It was an anthem.
Yeah, South Africa thought he was dead. They didn't even know he was still living.
He was a god over there.
And he's living in a shack in Detroit.
Can I just interrupt just for a second, just to say that you may not be aware of this, Mr. Davis, but yourself and a couple others that, I don't know, Andre Williams, people like that. There are people around here who are aware of who you are and know the contribution you made. Just so you know.
You know, I do realize that.
They
I
may
do.
not, be out there in droves, but there are people that are aware.
And I mean, like, I've got little, I call them my grand fans, you know? Yeah. Because little kids, I mean, and that reminded me, like, when I went to England, there was like 3 generations of people, you know, because my son was with me, and my son had never seen me perform live. It was crazy. He was crying. You know, and he's going, and I was crying. You know, it was crazy. I mean, I just never knew that my songs meant that much to people, you know? Like one day, I'll just tell you this one quick story. My son comes and he says, Dad, you gotta come and talk to this guy. So I go over and he's standing against the wall, and he's kind of a shy guy. He's got on these thick glasses and stuff, and I reach out to shake his hand, and he goes, Melvin, my wife left me and my kids left me, but you never left me. That messes me up right now. I mean, to tell me that my songs helped you through the most difficult, are you kidding me? You know, I mean, I can't stand that kind of stuff. And it happened 5 or 6 times, and I mean, I just never would have had a clue. And it's just, you know, it's just been heartwarming ever since, you know what I mean? It's revitalized me, and it just makes me realize that, you know, because when I was on stage, I said, you know what you guys are? You're my Grammy, you know? Because that's what I really intended. I mean, everybody wants to be compensated, you know, monetarily for whatever they do, because everybody needs money to live, but money's never been my first priority. And to know that, because I really feel that what I've been given is a gift, you know, because it has certainly saved my life many times and just really filled my life, filled it. Some of my songs have just, I have sat down and never wrote it down, just went to the piano and sang it. And it just, I couldn't stand it, you know? It's crazy. But yeah, I'll sing one. You want me to sing one of my songs?
While I'm setting it up, while I'm setting it up, tell us a little about the song and maybe about the writing process.
Which one should I do? You know, like I recorded a song on D-Town for Mike Hanks, and there was only like about 500 pressed, and it's like in the top 5 in the Northern Soul, and it's worth $3,500 a copy. You know, I mean, they're avid collectors over there, you know? And some of these records, because they weren't, you know, a lot of them, they're very, very valuable. They got record collections that are worth millions of dollars. And a lot of them are Detroit, rare Detroit records. I wish I had just even one, but I don't. If I had collected the records from the time of my music with the companies I was with and the people I associated with, my records would probably be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars because they were very rare. I dealt with a lot of people that didn't have a lot of hits. Let's see, which one? Find a Quiet Place. It should be number 3.
All right, ready?
Yeah. I gotta stand up. I hope it's all right. This song is about love. All my songs were about love. No feedback? That's good.
3.
Yeah.
Is this it?
This is it, I think so. You know, when you fall in love, sometimes it can go up and it can go down. You have a decision that you have to make. When your heart's broken, you have to decide, what am I going to do about it? Find a quiet place. That's my solution. Check it out. You've been playing a game a long time. Just been using this old heart of mine. But I'm not gonna let you do it anymore, and I'm not gonna try to even the score. I'm gonna find a quiet place somewhere, baby, and be lonely. Oh, baby, I'm gonna be lonely, lonely without my baby. Oh, yeah. I'm not gonna try to get you back. That my baby leads down a one-way track. I know for certain you'd hurt me again. There's only one way I know I can win. Find a quiet place somewhere, somewhere, so that I can be all by myself, lonely, yeah. Baby, oh yes I am, yes I am. Hey, hey, you're gonna be lonely. Hey, hey, you're gonna be lonely. I know it's true, but what can I do? I'm so in love with you. Just when I think you're gonna be true, that's when you do the things you do. But oh, no longer will it be like that. 'Cause I'm getting my coat and getting my hat. Gonna find a quiet place somewhere, baby, so that I can be lonely. I'm gonna be lonely all by myself. Hey, well, here I sit in my lonely room, four walls enclosing me like a tomb. I'm lonely. Have you ever been lonely? Yeah, all by myself. I don't wanna be, oh no. Do you like this little song? Oh yeah! After I did it for the first time live, I just fell in love with it. I said, that is the cutest little song. Yeah. Sometimes, when you lose the one you love, it can hurt so bad. But under the right circumstances, you can get your baby back. Hey, all you gotta do, so baby come back. So baby come back. Say it with me. Baby come back. Baby come back. Baby come back. Baby come back. Listen, I need my baby. I need my baby. I want my baby. I want my baby. I love my baby. You guys are great. You really are. You guys are really, really terrific. I am enjoying myself.